Hello, hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Fiona, I'm an artist and illustrator, and today I wanted to make a video about drawing in public spaces. Getting out and drawing on location in public parks, nature, museums, cafes is such a peaceful and wholesome way to spend a day. It's a way to be present and really stop to notice the world around you. And for me, it's been such an important part of forming what my illustration work is today. I've filled sketchbooks all over my home city of Edinburgh. I've filled travel sketchbooks across Europe and Japan. And basically nowadays, I couldn't imagine traveling somewhere without bringing my sketchbook with me to draw as I go. I think it's important because being an artist, especially if it's your full-time career, can be kind of isolating because you're doing the work all by yourself, usually at home day after day. So yeah, as well as doing this for the benefits to your actual drawing ability, drawing outside is a way of reminding yourself that you and your art are part of it all. Your art isn't an isolated thing. It's you responding to and connecting with the world, which is hard to feel sometimes when you just draw at home from, internet reference pictures. Speaking from my own experience there. Actually drawing from real life observation is a way of getting back in touch with what art really is and has always been for thousands of years, basically. But the thing is, drawing in public really does feel a bit weird the first few times you go and do it. But it doesn't have to, which is what this video is all about. I've got a list of some little bits of advice to help you feel more confident about drawing in public. And I will say this video is a little bit more oriented towards people on the anxious side, so some of what I'm about to say might seem a little bit kind of handholdy and obvious, but honestly this is stuff that I think would have really helped me when I was younger and a lot more anxious than I am now. So I hope this helps you too. By the way, the visual footage used during this video is all from videos I've made of various drawing trips I've had all over the UK and abroad. So if you're interested in any of those individual videos, I'll link them all down in the description. Okay, onto the video. So first of all, I want to take a second to acknowledge that drawing and painting in public it's a totally normal thing to do. This might sound really obvious, but if you're feeling nervous, it helps to remind yourself that as long as you tidy up after yourself and as long as you're not trespassing or blocking like a busy path or something, you're not doing anything wrong and you're not going to get in trouble. It's allowed. This might sound redundant to say, but I just think it's important to keep in mind if your brain is giving you a hard time that day. If you're feeling that anxiety building up in your head, it's just something to tell yourself, like it's okay, I'm allowed, I'm not doing anything wrong. For me personally, I've drawn in museums, aquariums, zoos, cafes, restaurants, on public transport, and nobody's ever batted an eye. The only time I've ever been told to move along was in a shrine in Japan, and even then all the guy said was, you can't sit down there, it's fine to draw, but you have to stand. And nothing about the drawing itself was a problem at all. If you're in any doubt, the only thing I would really suggest is not using wet media like paints in indoor spaces like art galleries. They might be totally fine with it anyway, but yeah, you can ask for peace of mind. Pens, pencil, all totally fine, you don't have to ask. Secondly, it's important to try and remember that nobody is looking at you, and if they are, they're just mildly interested, they don't think you're weird. Everyone is the main character in their own lives, and although it's easy to feel really conspicuous and like you're standing out and being really odd, remember that everyone else has got their own complicated lives and a million other things in their head. They are their own main character. No offense, but they do not care about you or your drawing, which is a really freeing, positive thing to realize, I think. And this especially applies if you live in a city where insane stuff just happens every day and you're never going to be the number one weirdest thing anyone sees on a given day unless you do something absolutely unhinged. I live in Edinburgh, and if you walk through the centre of Edinburgh, you're going to see street performers on the Royal Mile doing like fire eating and stuff like that. So yeah, me going and sitting with my watercolours in the park is nothing, I'm not saying nobody will ever notice what you're doing, but it is nowhere near the biggest thing in their day or even that hour. They saw one random person sitting drawing a car, so what? I think it's good to have perspective like that. Occasionally someone maybe will come up and ask what you're drawing, but in my experience these conversations are only ever positive. I've never had anyone be like, ew, what are you doing? That's so gross and weird. People just want to say, oh, you're drawing? Can I see? That's really cool. And then that's it. One time I was at the Edinburgh National Museum sitting and sketching, I think it was a World War II fighter plane, and I became kind of peripherally aware of a little boy standing behind me, just looking over my shoulder. He was maybe like 7 or something. And I caught his eye and smiled, and he got all like shy and ran away, you know how kids do. But then 2 minutes later, he had gotten some paper from somewhere, and he came and sat down next to me and started drawing the plane as well next to me, without saying a word. It was very, very cute. I've been getting out and drawing regularly for years now, and I can hand on heart say I've never had a negative experience come from it. Okay, that went on a tangent for a little bit. Tip number 3 is to bring headphones and listen to music. For me, doing this has a kind of magical effect of convincing me that there's no one else around and I'm just blending into the scenery. It almost feels like, you know when kids cover their eyes when they're hiding and they think it means people can't see them? It really does feel a bit like that, which sounds insane. But if you're someone who uses headphones in public a lot to deal with, maybe anxiety or overstimulation, I think you get what I mean. Even though I can literally see other people around me, if I've got big headphones on, it's like my nervous system just thinks I'm alone and I just relax into it a lot more. Especially if you've got those big over-the-ear headphones, this also has the added effect of making people a bit less likely to talk to you if that's something you want to avoid. Tip number 4 is to bring a friend with you or go as part of a drawing group or class. So I'd already been drawing for years at this point, but the very first few times I went out drawing in public, I was at university and the whole class was sent out somewhere on a drawing trip all together. Like all 30 of us would be dispatched out to the Natural History Museum to go and draw dinosaur skeletons or something. So the first few times I drew in public and still wasn't really used to it, it felt okay because I was clearly part of a group of people doing an organised thing. If anyone had thought it was weird or eye-catching or whatever, that attention wouldn't have just been on me alone, it would have been on all 30 of us. But yeah, nobody did think it was strange. People just ignored us, or they just casually walked past and kind of like tried to slyly look at the drawings without saying anything, which I don't mind at all. Then more and more I started to go out with smaller groups of people, and then I'd go by myself to the places I'd already been with a group because I kind of felt safe. And then I just started going off on my own more gradually, and now I go all the time. If you're not at a university or art college, I would really suggest joining a drawing group. If you go on meetup.com or Facebook, you can find your local Urban Sketchers group or craft club or something like that. Urban Sketchers is really great. I've been along to the Edinburgh one a few times now and the people are lovely. There's a meetup every weekend at pretty drawing locations all over the city, and the format is you meet up with everyone at a cafe or a pub or something, and then people go off on their separate ways or in small groups for 2 hours to go and sketch outdoors somewhere nearby, and then you meet up again at the end of the 2 hours and look at everyone's drawings. There's a huge range of people of all ages and skill levels and backgrounds. So if you're thinking about going to something like this but worrying you're too young or too old or you're just a beginner and you're not good enough, please don't worry about that. You won't be the only one. And I find people at these things are always really welcoming and they always make an effort to talk to and include new people. Urban Sketchers is a big global thing. They've got clubs all over the world in pretty much most major cities. So if you just Google Urban Sketchers, your city name, there'll probably be one. They're really great. Or of course you can always just take any random friend or relative with you. They don't have to be an artist as well, they don't have to draw with you. I bet there's at least one person in your life who would happily sit and drink a coffee and scroll their phone next to you while you draw in a cafe, just to, keep you company and chat with you while you build up your confidence. Tip number 5 is to start small, both in terms of the drawing kit that you bring and in terms of what you choose to draw. So an A6 size sketchbook is a great size for drawing on the go. You don't even need a table. You can just hold it open in one hand while you draw. I would suggest getting a hardback sketchbook because you never know what kind of surface you're going to get to rest on, so that's kind of more reliable. And yeah, you definitely don't need, a fancy travel easel or a full watercolour set or anything like that. Just a couple of pencils and pens is great because that means you can shut your sketchbook when you're done without needing to wait for paints to dry. So just a mini sketchbook and 1 or 2 pens, don't worry about anything else to begin with. And your drawings don't need to be anything fancier or bigger than just a quick 2-minute sketch done literally while standing at the side of a path with a sketchbook in your hand. Just pick something like a teacup or a flower and challenge yourself to see how much detail you can get in 60 seconds, which is a really great chill way to just build up that initial confidence. I would keep your sketching kit with you at all times, just like a little sketchbook and a pen that always lives in your bag or your pocket. And you'll start to see how many little 2-minute drawing opportunities open up in your day. Like if you're sitting on the bus or you're waiting for your friend to meet you somewhere, you can bash out a quick drawing. And then before you know it, you're going to end up being that guy sitting in the park with a big easel and a camping chair and a flask doing a full-on 6-hour oil painting of a lake. Baby steps. Okay, the sixth thing that I have written down here is repetition is key. Just keep doing it and it will feel more and more normal. I think even with all these tips in mind, the first few times you go out drawing in public just are going to feel a bit awkward. They just are, and there's not really any way to get around it, you just gotta get through that bit. It's also something that gets easier as you get older. If you're a teenager, chances are you feel awkward and conspicuous about pretty much everything you do. I remember when I was a teenager, I would feel so embarrassed about really simple stuff, like just going into a shop on my own. I was just convinced everyone thought I was so weird, when hopefully that was just totally normal and no one was paying attention. Maybe that was just me, or maybe that's just the 14-year-old experience, I don't know. But I definitely could not have sat outside in the middle of the city with a sketchbook and a paint palette when I was like 14. I would have just curled up and died from embarrassment. But I don't think twice about that now, and nothing's changed, I've just grown up a bit. So I promise you that it will get better in time. Once you're a few years into adulthood, that stuff starts to melt away and you really stop caring so much about people maybe just thinking you're a bit weird. It's not the end of the world. If you live in an area where you really do think absolutely nobody does this and you're convinced it really is a bit odd, I think sometimes you just kind of have to be the change you want to see. Maybe you've just got to get out there with your sketchbook and feel a bit strange about it to start with, because maybe what happens then is an awkward arty kid a bit younger than you sees you and sees that it's okay, and then they feel more comfortable about getting out there with their sketchbook in the future. Disclaimer, I just want to say I'm not encouraging you to go out and sit drawing in some really sketchy, dangerous area of your city. Obviously, you got to take all the normal precautions that you generally do, just existing in public. But yeah, during the day, going to like popular areas, cafes, museums, nature trails, absolutely great, go for it. And when I say repetition is key, I don't just mean the act of getting out and drawing, I also mean the subject matter. I think if you go to a local nature trail once a week and you sketch the same tree every time, or something similar like that, that takes away the blank page pressure of not knowing what to draw. It acts as a really useful warm-up because of the familiarity. It shows your skills progression in a really linear way, and you're going to get really bloody good at drawing trees or whatever your chosen thing is. I think increasing your confidence is a really circular process. Once you build up that first bit of skill, that boosts your confidence, which in then turn boosts your ability level, and it goes round and around like that. There's a really great book called Art Before Breakfast by the artist Danny Gregory, and he suggests building your confidence by literally just drawing your breakfast every day before you eat it. The same plates, same mug of coffee, toast every day, just to take away that I don't know what to draw hesitation and get some muscle memory going. I think that's a really great idea, and I think it applies to urban outdoor sketching as well. So that's everything I can think of right now. And to round this off, please leave a comment if you can think of any tips I've missed off my list. We can help each other in the comments. And if you're thinking of getting into doing some outdoor drawing on location, but you feel like there's something that's holding you back, write in the comments, let's chat about it. Maybe I or maybe someone else can help. I'll link in the description some of my outdoor drawing in location videos that I've made. I like to take a camera with me when I go drawing all over the city in different places. So yeah, I'll link them down below and you can have a look at those if you're interested. Thanks so much for watching this video and hanging out with me. It's been lovely having you. I wish you all the best in your drawing expeditions, and I'll see you next time. Bye!